Harvey Mandel, renowned guitarist, known for his long tenure with Canned Heat, recently reflected on the history of two-handed tapping, a technique he began using well before it became synonymous with Eddie Van Halen. While Van Halen famously popularized the tapping style, Mandel is among the early players who incorporated the technique into their music. In a recent, he humbly discussed his role in its development, acknowledging that while many associate tapping with Van Halen, he had been using it years earlier, even though his influence was not as widely recognized. Mandel admitted that his contribution to tapping's rise didn't gain the same visibility, largely due to his position in less prominent bands compared to Van Halen. At the time, unfortunately, when I was tapping, I wasn't in a big band, he explained. Unlike Van Halen, who had hit records, the world could hear them. The limited audience he had at the time meant that his use of the technique did not reach the masses in the way Van Halen's did, despite Mandel's pioneering role. The guitarist also credited his early exposure to tapping to his collaboration with Randy Resnick, another guitarist, in the late 1960s. Mandel revealed that Resnick introduced him to two-handed tapping, playing it in a melodic yet simple way that made it accessible. Although hesitant at first to attempt the technique in front of Resnick, Mandel eventually learned how to incorporate it into his own playing, marking the beginning of his use of tapping in his music. "I was actually doing it long before Van Halen and long before almost everybody else since," Mandel remarked, noting that despite his early experimentation with the technique, audiences often mistakenly pegged him as a jazz player. In hindsight, Mandel's role in the history of guitar tapping is significant, even if it wasn't immediately recognized by the larger public.